Hi, I'm Mimi.
I'm Emily.
And we're Killing Time. It's a show about true friends.
Talking about all things true crime.
Today's theme, Pride!
I don't have cool.
It's okay, it's all around you, friend. Because I include you.
Thanks, bud.
Hey! Happy Pride Month, guys.
Happy Pride Month. Happy June. End of June. But you know what? We're doing it.
Yes.
We're contributing to the community.
We love you,
We
community.
love you. Always a safe space here.
Yes. And we wanted to talk about some big gay murder.
Big gay murder! Woo! Oh man, should we just get into it?
Well, before we got a little bone to pick with you guys.
I got some beef. I got some beef.
A little bit. Oh, you got her mad. You don't want that.
I got some beef, y'all. Okay, you have like a day maybe to get us to 1,000 subscribers. That's only like what?
Subs for the tub, guys.
We don't get subs for the tub.
You guys did not want to see us tell a story in a bathtub about a bathtub. You guys didn't know. You didn't know what we had in store for you. And you know what? We're not going to give it to you.
No, you don't get it.
We can't give it to you.
Maybe we'll do another promotion later on in the year, but you didn't meet the deadline, so.
We're going to have to think of something else because subs for the tubs didn't work.
That was it. That was like we had like a whiteboard and it was like plan A, subs for tub. Plan B.
Get in the tub.
That was
Plan
it.
C. Be in the tub with you guys.
And it's not happening.
No.
So.
Instead, see our way out. See our way out of that plan. Now that we're done with that, we're back to the happy, great mood that we're in for Pride. Which one of us goes first? You go first?
I think so, do I?
You go first.
Okay, I love this story. Okay, have you ever, or do you recall the movie Dog Day Afternoon, like, at all? Okay, cool. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing the true story of what took place in Dog Day Afternoon. So Dog Day Afternoon was a 1975 film starring Al Pacino, you know, just one of the greats. And it was about a real life bank robbery that took place. But like the story behind it is it's so interesting. So I'm really excited. Okay, here I go. So again, I butcher the names. Bear with me. John Wojtowicz.
Watchtowicz.
John Watchtowicz. Watchtowicz. So John.
John.
He's John. Was born in 1945 to a Polish and Italian American family. After high school, he joined the military because that's what you did back then. And he served in Vietnam. Okay, so this is really funny. I don't know what my line of thinking was when I was typing up these notes, but I'm just gonna read it verbatim. During his time serving, he realized that he was gay. He also was the sole survivor of a rocket attack.
Okay.
Weird jump in train of thoughts.
Those two things were major in his life at the time.
They are though.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being in Vietnam and you're in this wherever you are, maybe you're on base and a rocket attacks and you're the only survivor. But then also you're like, and I'm gay.
Ah! I can't die.
Yeah. What a weird start to life that was. Okay, so he served in Vietnam. He got back. He started working at a Chase Manhattan bank, where he met this woman named Carmen. They got married, which I know you're thinking what? But you just said he's gay. Well, hold on. This is the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, it's a different time.
So people, hold your horses. Okay, so they got married, and John, obviously, he was trying to fit in with society. He was trying to do what he have to do.
He was living in the closet.
Right, but he started to really, really struggle with these feelings. And then he just decided, I'm going all in. So he told Carmen what the deal was. They separated. He joined the Gay Activist Alliance and was really active in that community. And he just started living living his best life to the full, to his truest self. To his
Awesome.
truest self. So then in 1971, he's separated from Carmen. He meets Liz Eden. Now, Liz was assigned male at birth. I think that's the proper term. Liz was assigned male at birth, was transgender, living as a woman. So John and Liz married in 1971. So a really interesting LA Times article from the 80s that talks about Liz and John's life together.
Oh.
The word married is in quotation marks because remember, it wasn't until like the 2000s that gay marriage was legalized. Right. They referred to Liz as her dead name the entire time, her birth name. And referred to her as a man in woman's clothing. Like, it was really not a flattering article, and it really is like, wow, we've come a really long way. Like, I just thought that was interesting to point out, because, like, we still got work to do, but oh my gosh, we've come such a long way.
Yeah.
So, they married in a ceremony outdoors. Liz wore a beautiful dress, and John wore, I think, one of his Vietnam outfits.
How
they
cool.
were they were in it. So Liz then decided she wanted to get the gender-affirming surgery because she was still like a biological male. Like she wanted to fully transition. And John, who was gay and really not attracted to women, really was kind of against it. He was like, I don't really know what that's going to do for our relationship.
Wow.
But Liz was so depressed, which is very common for people in the community who don't get to live as their authentic selves.
Absolutely.
Liz was so depressed that she ended up making an attempt on her own life. And she survived, but she made an attempt on her own life. And that's when John realized, okay, it literally doesn't matter if I'm going to be like attracted to this person afterward. I love them now and I want them to be who they truly are.
Yeah.
So John decided he was going to do whatever means were necessary to get Liz the money for her surgery. So the official account, according to John, is that he conducted this famous bank robbery in order to get the money for Liz's surgery.
For bank.
Which is actually really, I mean, there are some people who are going to be like, but you robbed a bank. But I don't know. Good intentions, at least. I'm not saying rob a bank.
For love.
I am not saying rob a bank.
She's saying rob it for love.
What an interesting, like, social commentary this whole thing is, really. Like, I'm sure there are people who look at it from, like, a academic standpoint who are like,
yes, the story of John, how he had to rob the bank because society didn't accept blah, blah, blah.
So, yeah, there are other people who are like, no, it wasn't for love. It's because he had mafia ties and owed them money. Which, as an Italian, I think that's a little racist.
Rude.
No, I get that all the time. It's fine.
People think that you have mafia ties?
I can't comment on that. Yes, but I can't comment on that. People say that all the time. Well, growing up, people used to say it. Anyways, so John claims it was for love, but there are some people who are like, it was mafia ties, or there are other people who say,
this dude was just fucking crazy.
Whatever it was, he decided to rob a bank. So he recruited two friends that he met at a gay bar, Bobby Westenberg and Salvatore Naturale. On August 22nd, 1972, the three of them drove around New York City looking for a bank to rob, like deciding like what bank to rob. Can you imagine? What do you want to do today?
Yeah, just driving around.
Oh, I think I'm gonna rob a bank. Yeah, let's rob a bank.
Hey, that looks like a good one.
So the first bank they chose, they dropped a shotgun, one of their shotguns on the floor, and it went off. So they fled.
Wah wah.
So that's bank number one. Bank number two. I think it was Bobby. Yeah, so one of the guys, bank number two, Bobby ran into a family friend. Like, one of his mom's friends was there, so they were
like, oh, we can't rob this bank.
Bobby, what are you doing here? I didn't know you big here.
Oh, man, so they were like, oh, we can't rob this bank. So they got a little frustrated. So they took a break, and they went to the movies, and they went to go see The Godfather.
Nice.
Which is really funny because Al Pacino, and then Al Pacino plays John in the movie. It's all funny. like, what a coinky ding.
Right?
So they went to see The Godfather, and then they were like more determined than ever. I don't know, I guess that movie really got to them. Like, once they chose to chase Manhattan Bank in
They were
Brooklyn.
pumped.
Yeah, they literally, so John literally handed the bank teller a note that said, "This is an offer you can't refuse." Like, they were so inspired. You come to me in the day of
It's
the
an offer
daughters.
you can't refuse. Oh, stop it.
Like, this man is a character.
And that's so funny.
Like, I can't believe it. So, the bank's vault ended up being half empty, which, like, you still get a lot of money, but, like, it's half empty. So Bobby decided that, like, this was not worth it, and, like, immediately he left. He was like, I am not going to be a part of this. So it's just Salvatore and John at this point. They were able to grab some traveler's checks and almost $40,000 in cash, which is a lot.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
not terrible.
yeah. So while they're, like, going through that stuff, one of the employees was finally able to press the silent alarm, and the robbers noticed that the cops were on the way, so they took the 8 people in the bank hostage.
Oh.
There's only 8 people, so now everyone's hostage. So the cops set up shop across the street in a beauty parlor. They had FBI, they had snipers, a crowd started gathering, like, outside, like, even John's mom was there for 13 out of the 14 hours of the hostage, like, standoff. So it was 14 hours long, and his mom was out there, like, for 13 hours of it.
Wow.
So Liz was in the hospital still following, like, the attempt on her life. But I guess somehow word got to her. I don't know. I mean, it was all over the news, so maybe she recognized that it was John. At one point, John threw cash into the crowd. He openly told negotiators that he was gay and he was stealing money to pay for Liz's gender-affirming surgery. So it was a media frenzy.
Wow.
Like, it was insane. There's, like, these bank robbers are hostage, and he's gay, and he's throwing money. And at one point, he even ordered a pizza for the hostage people, and he paid for it with the cash that he robbed from the vault. And he, like, gave the guy a really big tip, like, with all this cash. So absolute craziness. So after the 14 hours, the FBI agreed to get John and Salvatore to JFK Airport onto a flight out of the country. Obviously, the police were waiting for them once they got to the airport, and it was all a setup. And unfortunately, the partner, Salvatore, got shot by police. He was the one fatality of the day. John pointed out that, so I didn't see the movie because John said it didn't reflect, it was really, like, over dramatized, the situation. But he said that was his biggest qualm with the movie, is that it made it seem like Salvatore's passing was his fault, that, like, he sold him out. And he didn't like that, so I don't know if that is what happened. I mean, we will never know. So John was arrested and sentenced to 20 years in prison. He served 5. In prison, he was able to see the Dog Day Afternoon movie, and he was, like, ecstatic that Al Pacino was, like, in this movie playing with him when The Godfather had, like, such a big role, like, in the robbery.
Right.
Like, what a wild moment for
Right.
anyone.
Amazing.
Honestly, what a wild moment.
If Al Pacino was in my movie of something that happened to me,
Right.
it'd be amazing.
Al Pacino playing Mimi.
I believe in him. I believe in you, Al. If you're watching
believe
this, I think you do
Of
a
course he's
beautiful
watching.
job playing me. I'm very.
Call our people. We'll set it up.
Yeah.
So John was not a fan of the movie. So Liz and John's relationship didn't end up lasting.
Oh.
But John was still able to pay for her surgery. So,
Wow.
like, he, like, sold his story to Hollywood to make the movie out of it, and he used some of that money to give to Liz for the surgery.
Wow.
The interesting story of John's life does not end there, though. So John continued living an interesting life. He referred to himself as the dog because of Dog Day afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
He applied for a security job at the bank that he robbed.
He's like, let me tell you where you messed up here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's like, trust me, I robbed this bank, so
Yeah.
I can make sure no one else can do it.
Right.
He did not get the job.
They were like, you know what? We didn't like you from the beginning because the whole stealing from banks thing.
Yeah, we didn't think we'd trust you.
So it's a no for us.
No. So there is a photo of him standing in front of the bank that he robbed wearing a shirt that says, I robbed this bank. There's another photo of him, like, it's a very, like, 90s, looks like, what was it, glamour shots, like,
Yeah,
thing?
with, like, the
where
jean jacket.
He's got, like, jeans, and he's, like, laying down on his side, and he's got a gun and, like, cash around him.
Oh, that's sexy.
Like,
You know, somebody asked me one time if I won the lotto, what would be the first thing I do?
Mm-hmm.
And I did one time say that I would do, like, a glamour shots photo sesh with, like, a bunch of money and guns. So I get it. All I'm
Right.
saying is, Johnny, I get it.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
that shit is sexy. I would have done the same thing. Hilarious that he did that because I'm like, wow, I thought only I would have done that.
We gotta, we'll post some photos when the episode goes up at Killing Time Show on our Instagram. We'll post some of these photos.
Yeah.
You gotta check them out. They're ridiculous. So, the Gay Activist Alliance did not stand by him after the robbery. They said he doesn't represent the community. He's a little crazy. Whereas some other people have spoken out saying this is actually a really good representation of what happens when society doesn't treat, the marginalized like humans and blah, blah, blah. They go to drastic measures, which is an important point. In 2006, John died of cancer after living a full life of being a celebrity. Liz died in 1987 at the age of only 41 from AIDS-related illnesses. She fell to the AIDS epidemic, which is huge. She, after she died, she donated some of her personal items to the LGBT Community Center in New York.
That's awesome.
I know okay, because I can't shut up. I can't. I know Pride Month gets really annoying to some people, especially if you're not in the community. Like, I can see, like, there are so many people who say, who cares?
Change this channel.
Change the channel. And I get it. I have to say that people in the LGBTQ plus community are still on a daily basis emotionally, verbally, and physically harassed. And just this past 2 years, an enormous number of anti-LGBTQ plus bills specifically targeting trans individuals has been presented into legislation. So, over 100 bills actually has been presented in this country. So some organizations that I just want to shout out that are helping to combat that and spread the word are National Center for Transgender Equality, Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, and Trans Santa. Trans Santa, actually, during Christmas time, trans, like, individuals who've been, like, kicked out of their homes because they represent a huge population of the homelessness, they, like, send in their Christmas list, and you can, like, anonymously, like, buy their stuff for them.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, so that's my story.
That's
my
awesome.
Pride story.
Woo! Happy Pride, everybody!
Hi.
Oh, I like that story.
Thank you.
It was good.
Thanks.
And now it's my turn.
Woo!
Are you guys ready for who I picked?
I don't think they are.
The murder of Gianni Versace. I can tell you that when I was a little girl, I used to look up to models, and
Well, you were a model.
Yeah, I was a model, and I looked up to him, and I just wanted to wear Versace so badly, and I still to this day have not. So
Someday.
my dream is still alive,
Guys, get us to 100 million viewers and we can get her a Versace dress.
And maybe Versace will let me borrow something. Can I just borrow something?
Borrow something.
For like an
Go
hour?
through your closet.
In 1978, Gianni Versace opened up his own store in Milan.
Which is like the fashion capital.
The fashion capital of the world. So he opened up a store there, and he instantly became a sensation. And then he moved into America, and then, I mean, they were publicly traded. Yeah. I mean, Versace just became huge. And even though he, you know, for a long time he wasn't out for years as he was building the brand. And it was in the 90s, and so it was a time of sexuality being kind of a little bit okay to be gay, but remember, it was also the don't ask, don't tell time period. So when you were in the military, you weren't allowed to discuss your sexuality at all. And so it was still very controversial to come out as gay, and you could lose a lot of business, you know? I mean, Versace wasn't going to lose Elton John.
Right.
But he might lose somebody. I don't think he was going to lose Princess Diana either, because she was obsessed with him. So Gianni Versace, when he finally came to America, I mean, he had many, many homes all over the world, but one of his home bases was in South Beach, Miami. Even though he wasn't officially out, being in Miami, that's where he felt was his real home, where he could be free. His partner's name is Antonio D'Amico. He was a fashion model, and he was sexy. And if you look at the made-for-TV show, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, it was Ricky Martin.
Yeah.
Like how amazing. Oh, Penelope Cruz played Donatella. She did amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Gianni Versace comes to America. He lives with his partner. A lot of people think that he's his assistant, but everybody knows better in South Beach because they have a good time.
In South Beach, come on.
Yeah, and he wasn't deep in the closet. He just hadn't gone to press and said I'm gay. Right. You know what I mean? But there was also this fine line that Versace, this is why I loved him, okay? There was this fine line that you didn't really know if he was fully gay or if he was just this full sexual being, because no one appreciated the sexy female body the way that Gianni Versace did.
That's true.
He, the way he made the clothes and the way he wanted to show the women and the way he wanted the show to go.
Skanky. In my opinion, it wasn't skanky.
It was as sexy as it could get.
Right, it was
without
sexy,
being skanky.
But in an honoring way. You know what I mean? And oh my goodness, women. You know
how
I
dress. You're oh, is it skanky?
No, you're a
No, she's
Mimi.
sexy. Yeah, just like that. That's actually what I'm going for every time. I just may not land. It's a tightrope walking from skanky to sexy. You could just lean all the way over here by accident, and then your vagina showing. I mean, I'm not gonna say it hasn't happened. I'm not a liar. So now that you know a little bit about Gianni Versace, I'm sure many of you knew a lot about him, and if you don't, Google it because it's everything. So now we're going to talk about Andrew Cunanan. Andrew Cunanan is...
sorry, it's a horrible last name.
Yeah. He's Filipino and Italian, but his dad's Filipino, so Cunanan's Filipino. But his mom's Italian, and his dad is, he's a stockbroker growing up. So, Andrew's weird because Andrew, when he's little, he, scores a 147 on his IQ test. So, he's, a super genius.
That's who you gotta watch out for.
His parents, he had, 4 older brothers and sisters, and he was the baby. But, his parents treated him like he was the special because he had this high IQ. And they just had this, idea that, he was gonna be, I don't know, something special and amazing that they were going to be proud of or whatever. So, his parents were weird. His dad was, obsessed with him. And, the mom loved all the kids equally, but she also sort of was very, submissive to her husband. And so, and he just thought that, Andrew was, little boy Andrew was just amazing. So, when they bought this house in San Diego... that's where Andrew's from. He's from San Diego. When they bought this house in San Diego, his dad and mom gave Andrew the master bedroom, and he was 11.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And when, so they bought this house, His dad was like, he's from the Philippines, born in the Philippines, but then he served in the Navy. And then he got his education through the Navy. And then once he served his country, then he was trying to become like a stockbroker. And he gets a job briefly at Merrill Lynch. And so they buy this house in San Diego, and then they send all the kids to public school, but they make Andrew go to like a rich kid's school that he has to like earn his way in and stuff. He bought a car for Andrew when Andrew was like 11. When he got into the school, he bought him a car. Meanwhile, 2 of the older kids had driver's licenses, but they weren't allowed to use the car.
Yo.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah. According to Andrew, he said like if he didn't like his school lunch, that his mom would bring him like a lobster dinner, like a full lobster dinner with like filet.
What?
And they didn't even have it like that, like money wise. But she would like bring all that stuff, and he would like share it with everybody.
See, I don't see that. Like you're saying that as like they babied him so much. In my mind, I'm like, no, they were terrified of him.
Yeah, something was
That's
up with
in my mind. That's like, oh, okay, just don't kill us in your sleep. Like that is what that sounds like to me.
So his dad's name is Modesto, but he goes by Pete. You know, Cunanan. And he gets this job at Merrill Lynch, and then they find out like he gets kind of almost instantly fired, but he doesn't tell anybody because he's just not producing. Like he's not producing any accounts. So he goes to like one of those like small rinky-dink investment firms. He starts stealing from his clients, and like stealing from like little old ladies that are like just inherited. They're just widowed. And he's like, oh, I've got these great investment opportunities for you, like guaranteed no loss. So then they do it. And he just like takes the money. He doesn't even like invest it. So he starts like stealing their money, right?
That's so sad. Those are the worst kinds of people.
So he gets busted by the feds.
Good.
Right? But he somehow like slips through their fingers. He's able to take off, ditch his family of like 6 people, his wife and like 5 kids. He ditches them. He flies to the Philippines and like starts a new life there, right? They find out later he sold their house and took the money like weeks prior when he knew this thing was coming, and like didn't tell them. And then like the new buyers made them move out, and they had nothing. He took all their money. Like, what?
Could you imagine? I'm the owner of this house.
This is like...
No, I'm the owner of this house. Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, you're done. And he took it all and he left. And at this point, Andrew's in high school. And he's just graduating high school. Now, Andrew, his parents didn't know that he was gay. But in high school, like, everybody knew. Everybody knew. And honestly, there was like a huge like parallel of shock. That, like, his friends that knew him back then were like, what? You didn't know that? Because, like, he was very, very out and very, very proud. He was a character. He was known for being very, very generous. Like, he had money and he flaunted it. Like, when his mom brought him lobster dinners for school lunch, he would share it with everybody. You know what I mean? In his school picture, he, like, opened up his shirt and his tie was hanging down. He was taking like kind of a sexy smiley picture, and he was cute, and he was voted most likely to be remembered. Well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
His quotes, he was a very like well-read student. He was just ridiculously smart, as I told you guys. And his senior quote was, let's do it together. Après moi, le déluge. After me, the chaos. But, so after his dad leaves and they're flat broke, he has to move in with his mom into this little shitty apartment. And then he moved in with a girlfriend of his that he knew since high school. She lived in San Francisco, and he lived with her for like 7 years, but he never went by Andrew Cunanan at that time. He went by Andrew De Silva. And like his dad... basically spoke beyond his means, you know, like he talked a big game and made himself seem rich and talked about how...
We know a few people like that.
Yeah. He was also known for selling coke.
Oh, okay.
Selling pills. and also being a male gigolo pretty early on in life. Like, I would say he was doing it in high school already.
Gotcha.
Well, his only aspirations, like, he had no full career goals. Like, he didn't want to work to be a success. He just wanted to be a success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense? He just wanted to be, like, I feel like his aspirations were to be, like, a well-kept man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To, like,
to
be a sugar baby.
Hubby. Yeah.
Be a sugar baby, have, like, a daddy that, like, you take care of, and you have, like, you know, like, dinner parties in the mansion. You know what I mean? And you're going to the opera and, like, all this stuff, and you're just, like, this little, you know, handsome boy. Don't we all? Okay, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody wants
Chill.
that. You're not the only one that just wants to get paid to be cute.
Yeah, seriously.
So, he's finally in that situation, right? He meets an old guy. The old guy and him make an arrangement. He's living there. Everything's fine. He's got the life that he wants. He can brag, and he can talk about, you know, all, you know, name drop and just live high society living, and everything is exactly how he wants. But then he goes to a bar and he meets a really, really cute guy named David Mattson. And David Mattson's sexy. And David Mattson is an architect, and he's young, and he's handsome, and he's sweet. And he, like, comes from a really good family, and his family loves him, and he's just, like, a wholesome guy. And, like, Andrew just falls for him, and, like, all this, like, well-kept man stuff goes away because he just, like, it's so obvious. Yeah, it's so obvious that he wants to be with David, right? So his old man breaks up with him, and he's like, you got to get out of my house. Like, if you don't want to be with me, that's fine, but I'm not going to pay for you. But the thing is, David's not in love with him. They fucked one time, but they were, like, friends, really. And he took him to, like, you know, friend zoned him pretty immediately.
Yikes.
But, like, Andrew didn't want to hear that. And then he asked David to marry him, and David was like, no, we can't get married.
Damn, how good was that dick? After one, you're like, marry me.
He was so cute, though. I'll post pictures on our IG page. But yeah, like, he was so cute and so nice. Well, around the same time that he meets David, he also meets another guy named Jeffrey Trail. And Jeffrey Trail is an officer in the Navy who is recently been discharged, and he believes it was for being gay. He did save someone who was being badly beaten, being suspected that he was gay, and he actually was. And he feels like that's how sort of like he was outed, because he stopped it and didn't participate. And so he was honorably discharged, but he was discharged.
Right.
So he meets Jeffrey Trail, and he has he's like really, really good friends with Jeffrey Trail. I think he may have been attracted to him at one point, but I think his just, you know, he was just so head over heels over David.
But they're just like besties now.
Right. And those guys and other friends of Andrew had said that Andrew had met Gianni Versace one time. And a lot of people knew Andrew as being someone who over-exaggerated reality and talked a big game, and a lot of things seemed really outlandish and almost too spectacular to be true. So he was kind of known for not being the most honest person, and you know, kind of gets it from his Lioness dad. But he claimed that one time that he had met Gianni Versace in San Francisco when he was living with his friend, and that Gianni had asked him to, because he was making costumes for the opera house at the time, Versace was, and he had gone on a date with him. Now, there is a witness that has come forward that said that at that same club, he had, Andrew had the limo driver stop so that he could roll the window down and say, I'm in here with Versace. And he was like, I did see a limo, and he was yelling, I'm with Versace in here, but some people are saying it wasn't true, so I don't know. But he says he had met him. And he sort of lived in a fantasy land of name dropping all these really huge names, like someone like Versace, you know, that he knew all the time. So people really didn't believe it that much. But all of a sudden, when he finds out that David doesn't love him and the old man kicks him out and breaks up with him, and he was like, okay, fine, I'm going to go start this life with David. And he asked David to marry him, and David said, no, that's not what I want. Like, we're just friends. And, well, he gets depressed. He gains a little bit of weight. He's sort of put all his eggs in the basket of like trying to be a kept man, but then he met David and now he was feeling kind of old, and people are saying that that's where they started to notice some cracks in Andrew's behavior. So in April 27th, 1997, Jeffrey Trail was found beaten to death by a hammer in David Madsen's apartment. David and Andrew's IDs were found both in the property, so they were looking for both of them, but they couldn't find them anywhere, so then there became a nationwide search. Jeffrey Trail's apartment was searched, and they found that he was missing a .40 caliber Taurus semi-automatic gun. 3 days later, David Madsen was found. He had been shot in the face twice, one through his entire eye socket, and also some of his fingers were blown off. They think that he had put his hands up in defense, and some of his fingers had been blown off. So then now the search has only gone back to Andrew because David's dead. They don't know what involvement David had and why he left with Andrew. They don't know, but they're assuming it was some sort of hostage situation.
Right.
Lee Migland, who was a wealthy real estate developer and philanthropist. He went and robbed Lee, and he stabbed him repeatedly. His head was half severed, and he used a gardening saw.
Oh.
The body was wrapped in a rug and then taped in an S&M fashion. So he also wanted to humiliate him as well. On May 9th, he does a carjacking and the victim is a Civil War cemetery caretaker named William Reese. He was shot in the head with the .40 caliber Taurus for his 1995 Chevrolet red pickup truck.
Wow.
July 15th, 1997.
Wow.
Gianni Versace is on his way to go buy some magazines at the corner store. He decides not to go with any security. He usually doesn't walk a lot alone. He always has like somebody, like his partner or security or somebody. But today he was just like, it was like 6 in the morning and he just wanted to go get some magazines, and he walked 3 blocks.
Horrible.
He walks all the way back. He makes a couple phone calls. There's a show coming up. He talks to Donatella. He talks to a couple other people about it. He gets up to his gate. His gate has a lock on it. Witnesses say that Andrew Cunanan walked up to him, said Gianni. He looked back and he shot him twice in the head. Now, this is the craziest part. When police get there, his partner called the police. His partner saw his body outside and called the police, right? So it was a very horribly tragic moment. But when the cops get there, Andrew's not there, so they don't know who it is, so they're investigating. They find a dead dove on the steps next to Gianni. Like, it was like dead, and they were like, oh, Gianni Versace probably has mob ties. Look at you. You have a mob tie, a gay story, and so do I.
Oh my god.
And so they thought that he had mob ties because that was like a symbol of like code for this was a mob hit, a dead dove. What?
Weird.
So at first, before they knew that it was Andrew Cunanan, like they were looking, the FBI was already looking for Andrew Cunanan, but they had no idea that it was connected at first with Gianni Versace. And then they make the connection just by the witness statements of the vehicle that was around and the description. It got back to the FBI and they were like, I think this is the same guy. So then they started like a manhunt in Miami, and they were able to sort of like close it off because sort of where Gianni Versace lived was kind of like an island. So there was like checkpoints. So they were like hoping that he was still trapped, and they didn't know at the time, but he was. And so he was hiding in a houseboat, and this was like a straight up like it was the 90s, but this was like a 1970s, so it was very like Brady Bunch old looking, but it was like a 3-story house that just floated. It wasn't even like a boat. So it was crazy, but he was like living there and like nobody knew. And then all of a sudden this like guy, this old man with, who like shows up strapped to like check on things, like has like a Wild West shootout with somebody in the house when he went to go check it out. Cause he saw that it was like all vandalized.
Right.
And like he has like a shootout with him and then he leaves. And then everyone's like, we think that might be Cunanan. So then they go and they swarm the house. And before they could get to Cunanan, who was in the upstairs master bedroom on the bed, Cunanan takes his .40 caliber Taurus that he stole from Jeffrey Trail, shoots himself in the mouth, and dies.
Wow.
So Gianni Versace was taken, I think that same day he was buried in Milan. His body was cremated and he was in Milan. Yeah. And get this, there was like a little side beef. So I guess Donatella and Antonio, Gianni Versace's partner, who was his partner for 14 years.
Right.
So like no joke partner.
Yeah.
Gianni had always promised him that he could live in any one of the houses that he owned. And then he was going to be okay for life, right? So Antonio was like, I'm going to move from Miami. I want to move over here to Italy where he's buried because I just want to be close to him. So I think I'm going to stay in the house over here. Right. And then until I was like, I'm sorry, but just so you know, Gianni didn't own those houses. Versace owns those houses. So you don't. So guess what? You're not going to do that.
Oh my God.
And he was like, excuse me? What do you mean I'm garbage? And there was some shit that happened, but he left because he has his dignity. Because he's been kicked out of nicer places. And he left. And he went and he started his own fashion line. And he did it. And I don't know the brand. Because the story isn't about Antonio.
If you know it, let us know.
Antonio D'Amico has a line. Put it in the comments.
Let us know. DM
us. Give us the tea. You can email us if you want to be a secret source at writeorddiegirls@gmail.com.
That's
right there.
Write or die.
Right or die. But yeah, so he came up and he did it. And he knew all those celebrity people from Gianni. And they all like helped him and like endorsed his brand and like helped him out, and so it was fine. Like he doesn't need you, Donatella.
Wow, I didn't know that. I just lost some respect for her. That's rude.
It was rude.
It's like rude as fuck.
I think she just felt like he was a moocher. Like he was a well-kept man. Right. But what if that's what made Gianni happy?
That's what I'm saying. But if that's who you love, then you gotta.
Girl, you Donatella. You didn't smooch him at night. You didn't find him friends to play with. Okay. Yeah, chill. But yeah, that's the story.
Cheers to them. That's not even a shot. That's a lot of victims. Yeah. This is a cheers to the victims, not a shot to the victims.
And to Gianni Versace, a fucking god. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
I love you, Versace.
If anyone wants to buy us some Versace.
Yeah, if you want to buy us some Versace, hit us up. writeorddiegirls@gmail.com. Follow us. At Killing Time Show. On Twitter and Instagram. Mainly Instagram because that's where her fire memes are. And I think we might have to start posting some sexy selfies because we need more followers.
Seriously,
subs for the tubs.
What
didn't work.
We thought we were like, this is surefire marketing, and then
it
y'all
didn't.
Don't want it. That's fine.
It didn't. I honestly, it was off the cuff on an episode one day.
Literally, yeah.
So it didn't work. That's okay. We'll think of other stuff. We're going to think of great, fun stuff. But we are back like we told you last week. This is our new season. And we're so happy to be back. And these are the types of stories that I love telling.
Should we talk about, so comment some episode themes if you have any interesting episode themes. But there's stuff we could talk about. Stay tuned. There's going to be a lot. We love you. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. I love you.
Love you.
Love is love.
Love is love. Do the send off. Mimi.
I'm Mimi.
I'm Emily.
Thanks for killing time with us.